Alright, CIS126 week 7, and first assignment to parse this file over here, team CSV, into a TXT file. So we want to go through each one of these rows, or in my case, I just want to go to the rows that interest me and grab the data. Let's get this out of the way, which is year ID, the first row. Um, there's the name of the place where the name of the team and the place where they played. So, uh, okay, this is all here. So, I worked on a file to parse CSV into a TXT file. Let me delete these so we see the action. Um, and this is this file, I had to use the CSV module. I could not get it done any other way. So with the function open, which is a Python function, we create a new file.txt in writing mode, so it's able to get written over and to receive data. And then we gently open the CSV file called teams.csv, that one that we just looked at, and we place all its data into this variable called CSV file. And this is where the import comes handy. We place this file inside this method called CSV reader, which is comes in with this module, CSV module, and the CSV reader parse through that, throw everything into this variable read CSV, and using a for loop, we look on each row in that CSV file, everything in there, and I set the condition if in row 11, which is the row where the teams are, the um, the text in there is equals to Boston Red Sox, then we're going to use that data for this. And by the way, next CSV over here um, is used so we don't get the header lines of data. So let me run this one just so you know what I'm talking about. Oh my, can't type today or any day, matter of fact. um, so when we this using SCV is when I was working everything through over here. I built that and this header over here, we don't want to throw that in a txt file, so that's why in the main file I decided to use the next, um, and we are going to write in a text file these lines of text, saying using this format function for Python. It's for built-in Python. It'll format a string. I'm saying that in row 0, which is year, in the year 19 something, the team, which is row 11, the curly brackets are placeholders for those rows for that data. So we put it in there. So the Red Sox played in the row 12, which is the field, and the attendance was however many people that were there. And we close the this is closing the is it closing both files? I believe closes only the text file, because with open already closes the file. uh, and I cannot remember why I could not get it done using with open for over here. Maybe I could and I can change that, but I'm not gonna dwell into that right now. So this is it for that assignment. Oh, actually, let's run this main so we get the txt file that we haven't actually got yet. don't see any output over here because I don't got a print statement. I just have the file dot write going on. But we can look at the what the output was of that, and then this is how it is formatted. Pretty nice. The year the Red Sox played in whatever stadium was, and they're pretty much all Fenway Park games over here. They did play in this other field. Uh, that's the data that was in the CSV file, anyways. Move on to some of the other assignments, which is the lists, Python lists. There's a bunch over here. Let's try to find a cool one. They're all pretty basic and simple. Just trying to learn how to use lists. Start from the top. We can throw um, a range function. Use a range function to from numbers 1 through 6, and then we throw it inside the list and then bring the numbers over here. And we can do the same thing using passing 3 arguments into the range functions from 2 to 10. I use from 2 to 10 every fourth number print in there. Um, Square functions. Okay, list comprehension. That's the cool one. So we create an empty list called squares, and we loop in a set of numbers from 1 to 26 using the range function. We assign the square of a number to a variable called square, and then we calculate the squares from 1 to 26. So we use the append method to put this squaring all these numbers into our empty list, and then once we print that, we get the numbers, the squares from 1 to 26. It's pretty cool. The list comprehension, on the other hand, is much, much more readable and simpler and easy to write. So we just initialize the list, set the loop, and everything all in there in one place. The only other thing we have to do is print that. They don't even need to use the list function to put in a list because square is already a list, but I did that just as an experiment to see if it worked, if I get different output just to see what happens. So here we say that value times value, which is the value to the square anyways, because 2 to the time 2 to the power of 2, um, which is what's going on over here, because this is the power of, it's how you say a number to the power in Python. Use 2 stars. Um, so in here we say that value times value, then we loop through each value after it's been multiplied in a range of 1 through 11, and we get the squares of the numbers from 1 to 11, which is pretty cool. This is another way to do it. We can just do value to the power of 2, which is makes more sense than doing this way, but this both ways gets you the same result. All the way down, just let's take a look at the tuples and talk about tuples. Tuples are a lot like lists, but not so much. I mean, you can do the same things you do with a list, but you cannot change a tuple. Like in a list, I can just index a list. I can just come over here and say where's a good list to go and say that this num list. I can say num list uh, dot append and then insert another value over there. And then when you try to do something like that in a tuple, you get an error. I believe you cannot even append to a list, but you can access a value, and I mean you cannot append to a tuple, but you can access a value in a tuple through index just to print. Like if you are in an interactive mode, you could say that new values, and you wanted to see the index of it. Um, index is not even allowed no more. The see it doesn't let you index like that. So tuples are good for that because once they're created in memory, you cannot change. They also are faster to iterate with a loop, and they take less place in memory as well. Um, but that's it. This video is probably a little too long, and